Hi, welcome to Neil's Cookery. Today we're going to be making cat food. Now, remember, cats are obligate carnivores. Unlike dogs, they actually have not co-evolved to eat vegetables as well as meat. And so we're going to be making a food recipe here that is almost exclusively meat with just a little bit of vegetables put in, which is mostly to represent what might have been inside of an animal's gut after they have eaten it. So we're going to start first with some ghee. I'm going to put it into my pot. It's about maybe a tablespoon and a half of ghee. So we'll start here with some chicken. And chicken is an excellent meat for cats because it is taurine rich. Taurine is an amino acid that is of high value and actually really important. Taurine deficiencies in cats can lead to significant health issues. And so we're going to use dark meat, so chicken thighs, and we're going to quickly food process them. Then next we're going to have some chicken gizzards and hearts, which are high nutrition and also just great organ meats for your pet. A packet of those. We're going to take this meat mixture and put it right onto the stove. Put it on medium to low heat. We'll cover that for a little bit. Next up, I have some liver that I'm going to also pulverize. And we'll just store this. We'll put this in a little bit later in the cooking process. And then, as I noted before, just a handful. These are some leftover vegetables from earlier in the week. We have some asparagus, some cabbage here, and really just only a handful, basically, of vegetables. Grind that down. And I'll just go ahead and add that right to the liver so that I have it all in one container. And that's basically it. We're going to let it cook for about 15 or 20 minutes till the meat is just cooked. You don't want to overcook meat. Keep it just slightly undercooked. We'll take about 15 or 20 minutes, and then I'll add in the vegetables and the liver, and we'll finish this off. So after about 10 or 15 minutes, the meat should look like it has just reached, its color is no longer pink, and most of the juices, the fat, has melted down into a liquid. We'll also quickly check the temperature of the meat to make sure it's reached at least 165 degrees. And it has, so that's perfect. We'll now add in the liver and vegetable mix that we had from before. Stir that in. And just give it another 5 or so minutes. And then we'll take it off the heat. Okay, so the meat has rested with the liver and the vegetables for about 5 minutes on the stove. And it is now just cooked. I checked the temperature to make sure that it hit at least 165 degrees. You don't want to overcook this because you actually ideally you'd be feeding your pets raw meats, but the problem with that is that's actually not healthy for the humans, and if the animal is a little sick, it actually causes a lot of damage to them. And so it's best to cook meat so that it gets rid of the bacteria and other pathogens that may be in the food, even though it's absolutely true that animals can eat raw meat. They have a shorter digestive tract. They have higher acids in their stomach that actually allow for them to kill many of the pathogens. But if your cat comes up to you and licks you right after they've eaten a meal and it was raw meat, you could actually get very, very sick. And so that's the main reason that actually we always recommend cooking meats before. But you don't want to overcook, and that's why for some of the ingredients like the liver, I added it near the end because it just cooked it a little bit but didn't overcook it. And the meat is just losing its pinkness, and so that's still just cooking on the edge of raw. Now, if you ate this by itself, you might get sick because you're not designed as a human to eat raw meat. So now I'm going to use an immersion blender to basically turn this into a pâté. So this is now actually, as it cools, this will actually become hard. So what'll happen is the fat that's in here will start to firm up, and it'll actually be very much like a pâté. You could definitely have left the meat in whole form. You could have left it just as we did before in minced form. But the reason to blend it down is for two reasons. One, it actually makes the food more palatable. More of the smells come out of the meat, and your cats will very much enjoy their meal. And second, cats have very short digestive tracts, and so you want to give every opportunity you can to help them with absorbing whatever nutrients they can. The other thing that we can do, because it's like this, is we can sneak some water in to their diet. Cats are notorious for not wanting to drink lots of water. And so one of the ways that we can sneak water into their diet is by adding water into their food. And so I added about a cup of water, fresh filtered water. It's really recommended that if you don't have a bottled water source, that you use filtered water. Don't use raw city water because it has a lot of chemicals in it. And so if you do use city water, then you should definitely run it through a Brita filter. Next, I'm going to add a variety of supplements that are recommended by my vet. I'm just going to stir that in so it's nice and even. You want to check in with your veterinarian or animal nutritionist to see what supplements would make sense to add into your cat's diet. It's definitely true that the meats and the vegetables that we put in here probably provide a complete and whole nutritional profile, but adding in the supplements guarantees success. And so the supplements that I typically add include things like yeast, nutritional yeast, brewer's yeast, as well as taurine and a multivitamin, but there may be a whole range of other ones, and the amount that you put in should also be checked in with your veterinarian. Okay, we're now going to let that cool, and then we're going to portion them out. Okay, now what we're going to do is portion this out, and I have here, these are little containers that you can get. They're actually meant for condiments. One of these, this is for our bigger cat. He gets this is about 2.5 ounces. And then our smaller cat, she gets about 1.5 ounces. And we just portion this out. And the volume of food that we give each of our cats is relative to their body weight. About 1 to 2% per meal. So total will be about 2 to 4% of their body weight by the end of the day between their 2 meals. So we feed them twice, once in the morning and once at night. And I'm just going to portion these out. And then you can store these in the freezer. We keep about a week or so in the fridge. Okay, so now that I have portioned all the food out into individual meals, I'll go ahead and cover them up, and we'll put this first in the fridge so that it actually will get a little hard, and so it takes about an hour or so for it to be actually ready to be fed. It could be fed in this way, but it's a little bit too soft and actually makes a little bit of a mess, and so I tend to wait for it to congeal a little bit, becomes more of a pate. That's what our cats tend to prefer. Your cats may like a little bit more liquidy, and so in that case you'd want to actually heat it up a little bit before feeding it to them. And that's it. Thanks everybody.